Hello lovely people, welcome back to the echoiest room in the world. I am back in London, back at a Zedwell, so you know what that means. We are going to do some theatre watching, so we've got some more vlogs and review videos to come up. Content, yay! Always a bonus, seeing as though last Saturday/Sunday did not have one. Sorry. But that's by the by. We're here to take a trip to the Garrick to see the 5-star sold out revival transfer of a play. That play is for the black boys who've considered suicide when the hue gets too heavy. I had to look down because at some point I was going to forget the entirety of that name. And the ironic thing is also this trip, this day, I'm doing 2 shows with ridiculously long titles. So yeah, that's exciting. I thought I'd just come and say hello, welcome, let's take a trip to the theatre, let's go on an adventure, and then let's come back and talk about my experience and any triggers or content warnings, because that's what this video is all about. So let's get into it, let's go out into the sun that is London today and let's have a fun day. And we're back. Excuse the hair, I do not know what it's doing. It is also 11 o'clock at night. I've just finished eating some chicken nuggets because why not? And I thought I would discuss for the black boys who considered suicide when the hue gets too heavy. So yeah, I made a trip to the Garrick Theatre. I haven't been there in a while. I was literally trying to think what I went to see last, and I can't quite work it out. But it was nice to return back. We actually got rush tickets, which is always a joy when you can get a theatre ticket for £25. Heaven. My friend won them for us and we sat in the dress circle, which was not a bad seat. I don't think for this show there is a bad seat in the house. Everything is mostly one level, which is stage level, and there's a little bit more movement in Act 2 when there is the introduction of, I don't know how best to describe it. There is like 2 sets of stairs on either side of the stage that go up to a platform, and it is used a few times for different reasons, but yeah, I feel like wherever you sat you could see everything that was going on absolutely fine. Now, normally in this video I talk about my experience, how it all went, and so forth, and also I usually talk about content warnings slash trigger warnings. Now, if you go onto the Todaytix website, you can find out key details such as this show is 2 hours and 35 minutes with 1 interval. It also has an age suggestion and recommendation of over 15, and I would 100% agree with that. There is also a production note which reads, contains violence, gang violence and toxic relationships, plus forms of trauma including sexual abuse, child abuse, domestic violence and terminal illness. Themes of suicide and suicidal idealization throughout. as you may be able to get from the title of the show, the hue gets heavy. Saying that, and I will talk about this more in a review video, but it isn't like an all the way through very heavy show, but the heavy gets heavy. I got so engrossed into this show that I literally came out crying. And the amazing thing about this show is that on entrance and also throughout the front of house area, there is spaces where there is little QR codes, and when you scan that, you are greeted by this. I know my brightness is a bit much. It is a self-care guide and content warning, 9-page guide, if you will, which talks about what the show is all about, content warnings, helplines and support, self-care suggestions, character summaries, and thanks and self-care section. Is such a useful thing to have, and I'm 100% here for what they've done. I kind of wish that this was available to you maybe before the show. Obviously you don't want to spoil everything. For example, the character summaries you don't really want to read beforehand because it does give away elements of the plot, but at the same time just having something to look through and see what the show is about, see any content warnings, because it also has one of those, for balance. On top of the todaytics warnings, it says for black boys contains strong themes which some people may find difficult, analysing racism, racial discrimination and racial stereotypes. The cast tear through toxic masculinity in their community, discussing relationships, family, love, sexual assault, bereavement, fatherhood. We learn how their experiences have shaped their worldview. Through characters' dialogue, we delve into their past and childhood trauma, and how that has led them to this group. There are themes of suicide and suicide idealization throughout, and particularly in the end. I would 100% agree with that. There is also the fact that after the show, once the show is finished and the bows have completed, there is an announcement that goes throughout the auditorium, and which basically says the theatre or the auditorium area is going to be left open for 15 minutes after the show, so that you can have a reflective space to reflect, basically. I also really enjoy that under the self-care suggestions, it says after the performance, the auditorium will stay open for 15 minutes. Feel free to stay and take your time. If you found the show distressing, we suggest you talk to someone you're with, calling a friend, or contacting one of the support services listed on the previous page. I went with a friend and I'm 100% grateful that I did that, because I had someone to bounce my thoughts off, and we talked through the show quite in depth while sitting in a park, and she was also there at the end when I was sobbing my little heart out to give me a hug, and I'm 100% grateful for that. Thank you very much, Kelly, if you watch this. Saying all that, I am 100% grateful that I saw this show and I went to go and see it. I will obviously talk more about it in the review that will come as the next video to this, but yeah, this show is special and it's only around for a short period of time. It closes at the Garrick in the first week of June. End date is the 1st of June. If you have chance and you understand the major trigger points in this show, then please go and get yourself a ticket, because it is just something special. But yeah, like I said, next video will be in more depth in relation to my thoughts and my feelings. Before I go, as well as the content triggers to be aware of, there is obviously the more sensory, more loud noise, haze situations. So let's briefly go through those. First thing to note is that as you enter the auditorium, the whole of the auditorium is kind of lit in this red light. It's quite hazy, or at least it seemed that way from our seats in the dress circle, and the music played is relatively loud. Not too loud that it's hurting your ears, but it is quite loud and it's quite bassy, so that is something to be aware of. Both Act 1 and, if I remember correctly, Act 2 both start with a blackout, and as Act 1 starts, it starts with a relatively quiet, peaceful piece of music, and there is movement on the stage, and then suddenly the beat comes into the musical piece, and the first beat did catch me off guard. I wasn't quite ready for it. Once that first one was over, I kind of was more anticipating more, and so it wasn't as much of a shock, but the first one was very much a moment. Like I said, there is the red light to begin, or before the show begins. Lighting is used very cleverly in this, and there is some flashing lights, there is some loud moments, some loud noises, most of which you can kind of prepare yourself for in a way, but some of them do come with a bit of a shock. The music that they use throughout the play blends really well and doesn't suddenly come at you. You kind of can preempt that as well. Yeah, I feel like for now it's time to finish this video. As I've said a few times throughout this one, I will be posting next, hopefully, my review of this show, expected to be glowing. But yeah, I'm going to leave you here, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and now I'm going to go and get into bed. It's too late for me. Good night. No, but in all seriousness, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions on anything I've said, please leave them in the comments down below. But yeah, I love you all lots, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.